So we're now on Daf Chaf Gimel Amid Beis, and we're studying the Shita of Bar Pada with regard to a palgas. And on the top of the Amud, it says the Amud Maise Umasne. That you know what? According to Bar Pada, he's going to have to make a Tanai. Not the way Rabbi Yochanan had it on Amud Aleph, that the Torah considers a palgas with regard to Nisachim and Menachos as an ayal. No, we don't know. So he makes a Tanai. And basically the essence of the Tanai is, I don't know what this palgas is, whether it's an ayal or it's a keves. And since I don't know, I'm going to say the following. If it's an ayal, then this larger volume of wine and flour plus oil is for ayal. And in event that really a palgas is a keves, then the increment between, let's say, a quarter and a third, all that should go for a nedav. We'll buy another carbon and bring. So now, what's the suffix with regard to Bar Pada? We don't know exactly what Bar Pada had in mind. Mi amrinon ayal v'keves masna. This Tanai is only meaningful if you assume that we don't know whether it's an ayal or a keves. It's a palgas. But then, the birya lo masna. He doesn't have to say, well, you know what? Maybe it's a birya. That he didn't have to add. His stipulation, according to this side in the Gemara's understanding about Pada, would be limited to, is it an ayal? Or maybe there's a surplus here because it's really a keves, etc., etc. But he didn't have to add another third option of birya. Oh, Dilma b'birya nami masna. Maybe Rav Bar Pada would require that if he's making a Tanai, he's got to add another Tanai, the Omer, and he has to say the birya havi lehevi kule nidava. If it's a birya, then it's not a fulfillment neither of my chiyuv to bring an ayal, nor of my chiyuv to bring an ayal, because it's neither or. So therefore, let it be a separate donation. Take. Boy, Rab Zera, Omer Harei Lachmei Toda. Okay, now we have a sugi about Sa'ar. Sa'ar is an unknown entity, meaning we don't know. Actually, I shouldn't pronounce it Sa'ar. It's pronounced C-R. C-R. So C-R is an unknown because we don't know whether it's chametz or matzah. It's at the very beginning of its baking. Harei alai lachmei toda min hachametz o min hamatzah. We know that lachmei toda, 40 lacham that accompany a carbon toda, and some of them are matzah, some of them are chametz. And he took upon himself a nedava to bring either chametz or matzah. Vehevi siar. Mahu. Now, l'chora, at this point, we would stop and say, well, it's either matzah or it's chametz. So no matter how you slice the cake, right, you yotze. So first, the Gemara wants to analyze this suffix of Rabbi Zera in the light of the machlokas between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Seir deman. Seir de Rabbi Meir. Let's start slowly. What's the Seir of Rabbi Meir? He says it's before krimas pasu. It's before the cracks appear in the dough. So the dough is now kind of a little bit whitish, but there are no cracks. Now, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with Rabbi Meir And he holds that if the dough has not developed cracks, then it's not chametz at all. And therefore it's matzah. And that's what the Gemara says, matzah ma'al yisehi. If you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, and the description of Seyar, the reality of Seyar, is that of Rabbi Meir, who holds that it hasn't yet developed these cracks, then for sure it's matzah. But either Rabbi Yehuda, if the Seyar is Rabbi Yehuda's Seyar, Rabbi Yehuda's Seyar is dough after it already developed cracks, then Rabbi Meir, chametzu. It's mamish chametz. Okay, now either Rabbi Meir Rabbi Meir, we're going through all four possibilities. If we're talking about the siyar of Rabbi Meir that has not yet developed cracks, then Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Meir, here's the machlok between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir in a case where it has not yet developed cracks. Rabbi Meir holds that if you eat it on Pesach, you get malchus, which means it's full-fledged chametz. And therefore, once again, we don't understand Rabbi Zera's suffix because he said min chametz. Ella, we're not going to do any better if we go with Rabbi Yehuda's definition of Seir according to Rabbi Yehuda's Shita, that namely we're talking after it developed cracks, and Rabbi Yehuda holds that we got to get rid of it, but it's not really chametz. You don't get malchus. My. Sveika havi v'nofik mimanavsha. Shall we say that according to Rabbi Yehuda, in the case where it's Seyar, which according to Rabbi Yehuda means it's already developed cracks, but you're not chayiv korei, I'm sorry, but you're not chayiv malchus, is then, the Gemara argues, Sveika havi v'nofik mimanavshach. We don't know whether it's chametz or matzah, but either way, he accepted on himself either chametz or matzah, he should be yotzei or dilma. Should we say no? According to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that you don't get malchus for Seyar, it's bilma biryahu, it's a separate new entity, it's neither this nor that, nishtaher, nishdin, it's not chametz, it's not matzah, or nothing. But now, the Gemara is going to say that even if you hold that Seir is a suffix, he would still not be yotzei his vow. Ha'omer Rav Huna, ha'omer harei olai lachmei toda, mevi toda v'lachama, v'keva di chayiv le b'soda v'lachma, halo yodai gavra I chametzu, delese matzah, I matzu delese chametz. So let's try to understand Rav Huna, and it goes like this. A person took upon himself a vow to bring lachmei toda. So we have a principle called ein adam motzi dvar b'telem piv, and he's chayiv to bring a korban toda, not just the lacham, because there's no such thing as lachmei toda without a korban toda. She's going to have to bring a korban toda plus the 40 lacham. Now, 30 of the lechamim are matzah and 10 are chametz. Now let's assume that seyar is a suffix. We don't know if it's chametz or matzah. Says Rav Huna, you cannot fulfill your vow. Why? Because if seyar is in fact matzah, then we need 29 loaves of matzah and 10 loaves of chametz. If Seir is chametz, he's got to add 30 loaves of matzah, right? Because we said it's 30 for the matzah, and this one is chametz on that side. That seir is chametz. We don't know what seir is. His karban is only kosher if he accompanies 30 loaves that are definitely matzah, 10 that are definitely chametz. Lo tzricha di omar harei like chalo liftar todaso shel ploni. He accepts upon himself to bring 10 loaves of challah, I guess on behalf of so-and-so. So one person vows to supply a certain number of loaves for the Todah offering of another person. The vower is obligated to bring only those loaves and not the entire offering. Okay, that makes sense. Now, in our case, where someone vowed to bring 10 loaves of either chametz or matzah, 10 loaves of seir suffice to fulfill the vow, right? Because we're saying that seir is a suffix. So Gemara says, sof sof, holo yada hai gavra I chametzu delaise matzah, I matzu delaise chametz, so tzricha de lo omar liftar. Nefik gavra yedei nidro nofik, o lo nofik teku. Okay, I see it's late and it's Erev Yontif, so we'll stop here on the Mishnah. On Daf Chaf Gimel Amid Beis, and later out, I'll see you after Yontif Mitzvah on Yom Rishon. Have a wonderful Yontif.